Hello and welcome to math class today. Do you guys ever get so tired of sitting at your table looking at the computer that you have to stand up? Well, I've been sitting at my computer for hours and hours and hours today. So I'm going to record this math lesson standing up. See, I'm standing up. So if you ever get tired of sitting, remember you can kind of push your chair away and you can still do stuff standing at the table. So sometimes I like to work standing instead of sitting because I get tired of sitting after a long time. Okay, except for your writing. Don't do your writing standing up because then your handwriting isn't as pretty. Make sure you sit for your writing. Math we can do standing up. All right, what I'm going to be using today is my place value chart, the one that has hundreds, tens, and ones on it. You can either use the one that I keep saving in my hide zero cards bag here. That looks like this, like that. Or the one we used yesterday that we were drawing things on that we wrote hundreds, tens, and ones. It doesn't matter, whichever one you'd like to use. If you don't have either one of those anymore, the cool thing about the place value chart is you can just write it on a piece of paper. So if you don't have one right now, you can go on a piece of paper, write hundreds, tens, and ones. Just make sure they're in the correct order. If you have them in the wrong order, when we go to do the math in a minute, yours will be wrong. Okay, so today is a little bit different than what we were doing with the dollar bills yesterday. We are still going to be counting by hundreds, tens, and ones. We're just going to be showing them on something called a number line. So you might have seen a number line before in school. Number lines are really cool. Let me grab some little circles to use as my hundreds, tens, and ones because we're going to be putting these numbers on the place value chart. I'm going to grab a couple, and if I need more when I go to do one of them, I'll grab some more. I'm going to use coffee pods because they're nice little circles. You can really use anything. You can use paper clips or Legos or really anything that you have laying around that you have quite a few of to place on to the place value chart. When we're in the classroom, we do this lesson together. I have little circles for you that we stick on there, but these work just as well or whatever you can find around your house. Okay, we are on lesson 9. There's a problem set and a homework page. It starts on page 47. So make sure you put your name and the date and you rip out your page or turn to that page in your book if you're leaving them in your book. Oh, I talked a lot before I even started. So sorry, I hate when I do that. Okay, it says first model the count using ones, tens, and hundreds on your place value chart. Then record your count on the empty number line. So we are going to be counting on this first problem here from 70 to 300. What they would like for us to do first is use our place value chart. I'm going to use this one that I have kept in my Ziploc baggie. And we're going to count from 70 to 300 using this place value chart. So I'm going to use pink for my hundreds, and I'm going to use green for my ones, and yellow for my tens. Hopefully you can tell the difference between the green and the yellow well enough. Okay, 70. We're starting at 70. We're going to count up to 300. What should we count by first? 70. Should we count by ones and say 71, 72, 73, 74, all the way up to 300? Should we count by tens and say 70, 80, 90? Or should we count by hundreds and say 70, 170, 270? What do you think is the best thing to start by when you're counting from 70 to 300? Hopefully you see that we have no ones, so we're at an even 10 number, which is 70. So it's really nice to go ahead and start counting by tens. And we're going to stop counting by tens when we get to 100. So 70, go ahead and get whatever it is that you're going to use on your place value chart, and we can say put in a 10. What happens when we put in a 10? 70, 80. Oops, I'm using yellow. 80. Okay, if we put in another 10, now we have 90. Now we're going to put in another 10 and we have 100. Okay, so we had 70 that we started with. We've put in 3 10s now, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so now we're at 100 and we're trying to get up to 300. So what can we switch and count by now? If we're at 100, how can we get to 300 the easiest? Are we going to count by ones and say 101, 102, 103, 104? That would take forever. So that's not a good plan. We already counted by tens and now we've stopped because we got to 100s. We said 70, 80, 90, 100. So now we can count by hundreds. 100, go ahead and put, you also do this, 200, 300, okay? So it took us 3 tens and 2 hundreds to get from 70 up to 300. Okay, now we're not gonna wipe these off of our place value chart. We're going to now write it on the number line. So this is a new concept that you haven't done before, but we're going to do it quite a bit. The rest of the module is using that number line to record counting. So we're going to start here at this end and write 70 because that's the number we are starting with. And we are counting up to 300, so it's going to go on this end of the number line. See the little arrows on both ends? That means we're not starting at 0. So there are numbers that go all the way that direction from 70 all the way back to 0. And then there's a number, there's an arrow here because the numbers keep counting past 300. So we're just looking at like the middle of a number line here that has 70 up to 300. So we're going to be recording hops. Do you remember when we were counting, like how far did the cricket hop? We hopped 5 forward and 5 backwards. Remember how those were hops on the number line? We're going to be recording hops on this number line that we would take to get from 70 to 300. So starting at 70 here, how many tens did we add first? Remember we first counted by tens, and how many tens did we add by? We did 3 tens. So let's hop 3 tens. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to put a 10 inside each of those because I hopped 3 tens, right? And then when I got to the end of the 3 tens, what did I land on? I said 70, 80, 90, 100. So I'm going to label this 100 where I stopped counting by tens, okay? And remember, that's what we did here on our place value chart. We said 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, when we were done counting by tens, we switched and we were counting by hundreds. Okay, so when we got to 100 here, how many hundreds did it take to get up to 300? It took us 2. So now we're going to do 2 big hundreds hops. 100, 100. We said 100, 200, 300. Not so bad, right? Let's do another one. Don't worry, we have lots of these to practice with. So if you're like, Miss Calvinus, what are you doing? It's okay. Hang in there. Look how many we have to practice. You'll get it. Okay. 300 to 450. I'm going to get out my trusty hundreds chart here. We're starting at 300 and we're going to count up to 450. So look at that even 300. We have no tens and no ones to deal with. We're just at 300. So can we start counting by hundreds first? Absolutely. And how many hundreds would it take to get from 300 to 450? Well, let's see. Let's try 100. So go ahead, you also find something to stick on your hundreds chart. So 300, if we put in 100, what do we get? We had 300, we put in 100, we get 400. Okay, so now we're at 400. Can we put in another 100? 400, 500. That would be too many because I'm trying to just get to 450. So well, now we're at 400. We can switch to counting by something else. Should we count by tens or count by ones? So now we're at 400. We're trying to get to 450. What would be the best way? Should we count by ones from 400 to 450 or by tens to get from 400 to 450? Hopefully you said tens. So we have 400, 410, 420, 430, 440, 450. And we made it to 450. Okay, now we're going to take that information and we're going to put it onto our number line. My little tiny spot that I have to show you the math lesson is a little bit small for what we're trying to do today. So I'm going to just scoot. There we go. Okay. So on our number line, let's label where we're starting and where we're ending. So we are counting from the number 300 to 450. So let's label the ends of our number line. We're starting here at 300 on the number line and we're hopping all the way over to 450 on the number line. So go ahead and write those labels in. Okay. Now When we started, we put in 100 first. So from 300 to 450, we were counting by hundreds first. So let's give ourselves a big 100 hop. Looks like a little mountain, but it's a big hop. And put 100 inside, so we know we jumped 100. And when we jumped 100, we went from 300 up to 400. So we're going to label this 400. Don't worry if you're really struggling already on number 2 here. Hang in there with me. Even if you're not totally getting it, the concepts are going into your brain, I promise. And we are building those mental math skills. You're going to be amazing addition and subtraction mental math wizards by the end of 2nd grade. Keep going. You're doing great. These are hard things to learn at first, and I promise you at some point they just click. And if this specific thing doesn't click for you, no worries. All of 2nd grade, we're learning lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different ways to add and subtract. One of them doesn't really work for you. It's really no big deal. Okay. So 300, we added 100, 300, 100, hop to 400. Now we stopped and we started counting by tens. So we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens, right? So let's hop 5 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, because all of those hops are worth 10. So I landed at 400 here. Remember, I had 300. I hopped to 100, giant leap. I got to 400. Then I switched and I started counting by 10. So 400, 410, 420, 430, 440, 450. And I landed right where I needed to. Now, Miss Cavanis is a grown-up, so my hops landed just great where they were supposed to. If your hops are a little bit squished or not perfectly drawn, it's fine, totally good. As long as you got the concept down there on paper, it's okay if yours does not look as perfect as mine ended up. Okay, next, we are counting from 160 all the way to 700. That's really far. We have to count from 160 all the way to 700. But don't worry, we know a fast way to count, so we've got this. We're going to start at 160, and what should we count by first? We count by ones, tens, or hundreds. Well, there's a 0 in the ones place, so I'm not going to need to count by ones first because I already got that to make it 10. There is a 6 in the tens place, so that tells me I need to start counting by tens to get that 6 to be a 0 in the tens place, okay? So 160, we're going to count by tens first. Get whatever you have to put on your hundreds chart for tens ready. We're going to say 160, count by tens with me, 170, 180, 190. If you're counting by tens, what comes after 190? 200. Okay, so now I made it to 200. I'm going to stop counting by tens because I made it to an even 100 number. Now I have a 0 in my ones place and a 0 in my tens place. So I can switch and I can count by hundreds now. So I'm at 200. I need to get to 700. So help me count by putting circles or something on your place value chart to get from 200 to 700. So 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, one more, 700. Great job. Okay, now let's make those into hops on our number line. So we're starting at 160. Go ahead and label this far end of your number line with 160. And we're counting all the way to 700. So the other end of your number line, write 700. Okay, now let's look at what we did. We counted by tens first, right? To get from 160 up to 200. So let's put our tens in first. And how many tens hops do we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4 tens hops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a 10 in each of those. We know you hopped 10 for each of those. And we went from 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. If you've noticed, I've only been labeling the bottom here when we switched counting by one thing and started counting by something else. So I didn't have to label underneath here 170, 180, 190. You don't need to do that. Just write where you got to with the tens and then put that label underneath and then start counting by hundreds. All right, how many hundreds did we count by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had to put 500 hops. So we were at 200. Here's 500 hops. I'm just going to go tall. I can't do long and fat like I did before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 hops. So I'm going to write 100 on each of these. So we remember we hopped 100 on each of those. Okay. So we had 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. Then I switched and started counting by hundreds at 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Woohoo! Yay us! Good job. All right, next one. Did that one make a little bit more sense than the other two did? I hope they're getting a little bit easier each time we do a new one. 700 all the way up to 870. I better put it like this so you can see both. 700 all the way up to 870. You know what? I'm going to label my number line first. I'm going to put 700 at this end because that's what I'm starting. And I'm going to be counting all the way up to 870. So I'm going to write 870 on that side of my number line. Let's begin. If we have 700, that means we have a 0 in the ones place and a 0 in the tens place. So I don't need to start counting by ones or tens. We can start right off counting by hundreds. So 700 to 870, how many hundreds can I use? If I have 700, I can put in one more 100, and then I go from 700 up to 800. Okay, now I'm at 800. Can I put in another 100? I cannot have another 100 because that would be all the way up to 900. So 700 to 800 is just 100. Now I'm going to switch and I have to count by something else because another 100 would be way too much. So 700. Now I'm going to say 700 to 800, right? Now I can say 810, 820, 830, 840, 850. Did I make it yet? Not yet. I'm at 850. I need some more. I don't have any more yellow. Oh, yeah, I do. 860. Not yellow. No. 860. One more. 870. Okay, so now I have 870. I can stop. I'm going to now take those and put them onto my number line. So 700, first I counted by hundreds. And how many hundreds hops did I use? Just one. 700, 800. So I'm going to label 800 down here. I'm going to put 100 in the hop so I know how far I hopped. And now I'm going to do my tens. So I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tens hops is what I need. Okay, so my 100 hop got me to 800, and now I need 7 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to put 10 on each of those little hops. 800, 810, 820, 830, 840, 850, 860, 870. Woohoo! Good job. Pancake, flip that over. Where did I put my homework page? I feel like a kid. Lesson 9. Oh dear, I stuck it somewhere. I'll find it. Okay. On the back, we have 68 up to 200. So we're going to be starting at 68, going to 200. Get out your place value chart. If we're starting at 68, there's not a 0 in the ones place. So we're going to need to start counting by ones first till we get that to be a 0 to make a 10. So 68, I'm going to put some ones in first. 68, 69, 70. Okay, took me 2 ones to get to 70. Now that I got to 70, where there's a 0 in the ones place, I can switch to counting by 10. So 70, 80, 90, 100. Now that I have 100, which is the 0 in my ones and my tens place. Now I can switch to counting by hundreds. So I have 100. I'm trying to get to 200. Let's count by hundreds. 100, 200. Well, that was easy. It just took us 100. So let's draw that as hops on our number line. So first we hopped 2 ones. So we want to put 2, well, let's label 68 up to 200. Okay, let's do our ones hops first because that's what we did to get to an even 10 number. So 68, 2 little ones hops got us to what? 68, 69, 70. So put a 70 where we stopped counting by ones. Okay. When we were done with our ones, we counted by tens. So 1, 2, 3 tens hops. 1, 2, 3 tens hops. 10, 10, 10. So 70, 80, 90, 100. So put 100 on that spot. And then we just need 100 hop. Ooh, I left a really big space. I didn't really need to leave it that big, did I? That's okay. 100. So let's count together from 68 to 200 and check our work. So 68, 69, 70. Then I switch to counting by tens. 80, 90, 100. Okay, and I labeled that. And then I switched to counting by hundreds. 100, 200. Perfect. All right, next one. 486, no, 200 to 425. So 200 up to 425. So I was looking to see if I could find that homework page still while I was teaching you this one. It literally like grew little homework legs, and it like ran away. Don't you hate when your papers grow little legs and run off without you knowing where they went? I'm very confused because I just had it when I started your video and then it ran off. Maybe it got tired of sitting in my book and said, bye. Okay, I'll find it. Okay, 200 to 425. We have a 0 in the ones place and a 0 in the tens place. So I know I can start counting by hundreds first. So 200 to 425. Let's see how many hundreds we can use. Start at 200. We say 300. Can we do another 100, 300, 400? Yep. Okay. Now we're going to switch to counting by something else. So we're at 400. We're trying to get to 425. So now we're going to switch and count by tens. So 200, 300, 400. Now let's do tens. 410, 420, 400. Nope, can't do another one. That would be too much. So 420, and we're trying to get to 425. So now we need to stop counting by tens, and we need to count by ones. So we have 420, 421, 400. Green, 422, 423, 424, 425. Great job. Now let's show those hops on our number line. So we first hopped hundreds. So we were starting at, let's label our number line 200 at this end and 425 at that end because we're counting from 200 up to 425. First, we counted by hundreds. We're going to say 200, 300, 400. And we just have to label down here because that's where we stopped counting by hundreds. We're going to put 100 inside each of those hops to know we jumped 100. Okay, let me get rid of those. We were done with those. Then I switched and I started counting by tens. And I used how many tens? 2 tens. So now we're going to hop 2 tens hops. 1, 2. I'm going to put tens in each of those. And when I stopped counting by tens, I had 400, 410, 420. I had 420. Okay. And then I counted by ones. And how many ones did you use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. So I need to draw 5 one hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And put a 1 inside each of those, and it's already labeled at that end. So let's count from 200 to 425 and see how that went. Ready? 200, 300, 400, 410, 420, 421, 422, 423, 424, 425. Remember that day I was practicing counting with you and I said count up, count down, stop, count backwards, stop, count forward. Remember when I was doing that with you? Do you see why that was kind of important now? We count a lot from random numbers, and you have to know how to count by ones and how to count by fives and how to count by twos and how to count by tens. Lots of counting in second grade. Okay, we only have 2 more on the problem set, and then I'm going to have to pause you while I go find what I did with the homework page. Yeah, I don't know. I'll find it. Okay, 400. Oh, actually, poor Mrs. Cavanagh. Don't you hate when you lose things? The worst. And I'm a grown-up and I lost it while I was on a video with you. How do you lose stuff when you're in the middle of a video? Where does it go? I didn't even go anywhere. It's okay. I found some. I had an extra. Yeah, I have an extra one. We're all good. Lesson 9 homework. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Phew. Okay. Now let's hop from 486 up to 700. Thanks for being patient while I tried to problem solve my homework issue. 486 to 700. So if we have 486, there's a 6 in the ones place and 8 in the tens place. So we know we need to start counting by ones first because we don't have a 0 in the ones place. So we need to make a 10 first. So 486, we're going to count by ones. 486, 487, 488, 489, 490. And now I'm going to stop counting by ones because I got to 490 where there was a 0 in the ones place. And now I can count by tens. So I have 490. I can say what happens if you put 10 more. 490, what comes next if you count by tens? 500. And now that I have 500, which is an even 100 number, I can switch to counting by hundreds. So 500, and I'm trying to get to 700. How many hundreds should I use? 500, 600, 700. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to hop. I have 486 on this side of the number line. Remember, if I go too fast for you, you can always pause. This side is going to say 700. Okay, and first I hopped by ones, and how many ones did I hop by? 1, 2, 3, 4 ones hops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are going to be my ones. And what did I stop on when I was counting by ones? I said 486, 487, 488, 489, 490. So go ahead and put 490 right there where we stopped. Okay. Then I counted by tens. So I did 1 10 hop. Put a 10 in that one. It's a 10 hop. And what did I stop when I got 490? I counted by a 10 and I got to 500. Okay. And now I'm going to count by hundreds. So I have 500 and I use 200. So I need 200 hops. I just need to label inside those that they're 100. So let's count together. Ready? We start counting by ones at 486. Count with me. 486, 487, 488, 489, 490. And then I stopped and I started counting by 10. So 490, 500. And then I stopped and I started counting by 100. So 500, 600, 700. Phew, we did it. That was a big one. 700 is a big number. Okay, we just have one more left here for our problem set. We are going to be counting from 700 up to 982. Let's see if we can do it without the place value chart on this last one and see how you do. So I'm gonna make sure I don't lose my hundreds chart after I just had that homework page issue. So I'm going to safely put it in my Ziploc here with my hide zero cards, so I don't lose it for the next lessons that we need it for. Look, all safe. Phew. I'm going to stick it right safely inside my book. And in my book, I also have my number words that we wrote. last time, because I didn't want to lose those either. Okay, so we are going to try this one without our place value chart, and let's see how we do. So we have, I actually can't write them there, 700, we're trying to get to 982. So 700, look, there's no ones and no tens, just 100. So we know we can count by hundreds first. So from 700 to 982, how many hundreds can we hop by? 700, 982. Let's see, 700, 800. Can I do another 100? Yeah. 900. Can I do another 100? 900 to 982. I can't do another 100. That would be too many. So we're going to put 100 in each of these hops. We did 700, 800, 900, and we stopped counting by hundreds at 900. Okay. Now, should we count by ones or tens next? We're at 900. We're trying to get to 982. We're going to count by tens next. Okay. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, how many tens? I should have asked you instead of just doing it, huh? 900 to 982. How many tens? 910, 920, 930, 940, 950, 960, 970, 980. Okay, let's stop there. Squeeze the number 980 in there. We're going to label all of these as tens hops. Okay, we stopped at 980 and we can't do another one, or we'd have 990 and that would be too many. So now we need to stop and count by ones until we get to 982. So 980, 981, 982. So it took us 2 ones. And that is it for today's problem set. So if that was really hard for you and you're super confused, don't go tell your parents you're so frustrated and you hate math. That's just another way to think about counting numbers. Number lines for some kids make a lot of sense. They say, oh, I can see that number line in my head. And when they go to do addition or subtraction problems, some kids can picture that number line really, really well and it clicks for them. Some kids, that number line's really confusing and it doesn't work for you. And that's the beauty of second grade math, that we're just going to teach you lots and lots and lots of different ways to do things. And some are going to be totally your jam and some you're going to say, and that's okay. No worries. Just make sure you try your best. And then maybe the next lesson will be something that really works for your brain. And maybe it's hard for the kid that the number line was really easy for. So, okay. That's always my rule in second grade math. You can't get frustrated. We just try our best, do our best on that day's work, and then move on to the next day. Totally fine. Okay. Homework page, because I totally didn't lose it, right? Look, it's Julia's book. Okay, so I won't write on it. Let's go over the directions for the homework and then I'll let you go work on it by yourself. Write the total amount of money shown in each group. Okay, so for letter A, this is the group they're talking about, and we need to write the total amount shown on this line. Here's letter B, here's the total amount shown we need to write on this line. So what I want you to do first is I want you to find all of the hundreds first. Okay, so I always tell the kids when we do this together to put like a little line through it to tell yourself you already counted that one. So let's do the first one together. I'm not going to draw on it because it's Julia's, since I don't know where mine ran to. So let's cross them off and say 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and then keep going. 600. I don't want to give you the answer, so keep going. All right. And then whatever you got to, you need to put a dollar sign here because we're dealing with money and how much you added up to right there. Okay. Same for the next one. We're counting by tens on this one. And look, they're all tens. We're just going to count by tens. And you say 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. All the way. And put a dollar sign and the total amount. 1, 2. Same thing for that one. Count all the ones and put your total amount. Now this one has mixed 100s, 10s, and 1s. So this one's really important that you cross them off as you count. So you're going to say 100 and cross that one off so you don't count it twice. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And so however many hundreds you get to, put that in the hundreds place, that number, okay? Then count up your tens and put that number in the tens place, and then your ones and put that number in the ones place with a dollar sign at the beginning. Okay, show one way to count from 82 to 512. Okay, let me show you really quick on this scrap piece of paper. What they're asking you to do is any way you want to get from 82 to 512. If you wanted to write out a million little ones and count by ones all the way from 82 to 512, that's fine. It just says show one way. Any way you want. So you could draw me a number line and do the hops that we just did on the problem set if you'd like to do that. Or you can do it like this: 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. And then we stop counting by ones and you can count by tens and say 100, 200, 300, like that, all the way to 512. You could do the number line like we just did. That would be a pretty easy way to show that. Okay, so in any way you want to get from 82 to 512. The back of homework 9, use each number line to show a different way to count from 580 to 994. Okay, so this is one way. You could say, I don't want to draw in Julia's book, so I'm going to draw it here. 580 to 994. We could start counting by tens first and say 580, 590, 600, 10. Okay, and then we could switch to counting by hundreds and say 700, 800, 900. Okay, and then do 10 or 9 tens, which I'm totally going to run out of room. I made these too big. If you're going to count that way, make your little hops much smaller, because now I need 9 tens and 4 ones. Okay, so there's one way, but they want you to see that the other way that you could count from 580 to 994 is by counting by hundreds first. So you could say 580, 680, 780, 880, 980, okay? And then you could count by a 10 to get to 990, and then 4 ones to 994, which I'm not really sure why they ask you that on the homework page, since you didn't even really learn how to do that yet. So just try your best. If you don't do great, it's okay. Just make an effort. Try, don't get frustrated. Just draw something on there that would show 2 different ways to count. And maybe you have a different way that I didn't even do. That's fine. Just show that you kind of understood the concept on how to count on a number line. You could even try something new that we didn't do yet, but we do later. Some of you might really like this way. 580 to 994. You can also go like this and make your hop be 2 tens, which is 20, which would get you to 600. And then you can make this hop really big and it's worth 300s, which would get you to 900. And then you could make another tens hop that has 9 tens in it, which is 90. And then a 4 hop to get you to 994. And some of you, that was totally not your thing. Some of you might be like, oh, cool, way faster. Okay, so whatever you put on here, we'll accept as your answer. Okay, don't stress about it being perfect. Just try your best. Okay, draw and solve. Julia wants a bike that costs $75. She needs to save $25 more to have enough money to buy it. How much money does Julia already have? So she needs 75, but she doesn't have 75 yet. She still needs to save 25 more dollars. So on that kind of a problem, 75 is going to be your whole. 25 is going to be the part that she still needs. This other part is going to be the part she already has. So you know the whole. And if you know a whole and you know one part, how do you find a missing part? Do you remember that? We don't add the whole and the part together to get the missing part, do we? No, you're going to be subtracting. So you need to take that whole and subtract the part we know, and that will help you find the part that we don't know. Okay. And that's it. That concludes lesson 9 for module 3. I will see you tomorrow for lesson 10. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you stayed positive and didn't get frustrated today. And just remember that your best each day is all we ask from you, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be a lesson 9 expert by the end of math each day. Okay? All right. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.